Welcome to Midstate Money Talk. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Kevin Dietrich and Joe Dietrich of First Choice Financial Services Incorporated. To our viewers at home, today's show is a very timely show, if you will. It's called The Treasure of Your Lost 401k, Unlocking Your Hidden Retirement Potential. We're going to do a deep dive into all of those unknown lost 401ks out there. Joe, how are you today?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Kevin, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you.
Good.
And the reason I said timely is because so often people have not just one career in today's environment, but they're switching jobs quite a bit. They go from one role to another role, different companies, if you will, and a lot of times they forget about 401ks. Now, it's not just 401ks. This could actually be your 403bs, your 457, your TSP account. The reason we're talking about this today, it was inspired by significant growth or forgotten 401ks, according to fintech company Capitalize as of May 2023. You don't want to miss these stats. There are 29.2 million left behind or forgotten 401ks. Let me say that again, 29.2 million left behind or forgotten 401ks, holding approximately, wait for it, $1.65 trillion in assets. Can that wipe out the debt? Maybe. I'm just saying. Also, this represents 25% of all 401k plan assets currently invested. The average American worker has 3 to 5 old, dormant, or forgotten retirement accounts floating out there. And get this, the average balance of the lost 401ks, $56,000. $56,000. That's incredible. The average person has 3 to 5 old accounts with the average balance of over $56,000. There's a lot of lost money out there. Kevin, oh my gosh, let me start with you. Are you actually seeing a lot of people for the first time that come in that have these old, dormant, forgotten retirement plans?
Well, first, let me say, oh my.
Yes.
Those numbers are ridiculous.
They're staggering.
They're staggering. I mean, those are huge numbers.
Yes.
29.2 million.
Yes.
That's a lot of accounts.
25% of
trillion.
all money that's invested in these types of accounts is forgotten or
So
lost.
how do you
so
not know
crazy.
you don't have that money in that
I
account?
don't know.
You would think that.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
forgetful,
Yeah.
but I'd remember that.
That's right.
I'm pretty
If
sure.
I have $56,000 somewhere, I'm probably going to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is extremely common for us.
Wow.
And so actually, Joe has a story. He just met with a client last week that he's been dying to tell. So it's about what's their lady names? The Lees?
Ron and Sherry. So Ron and Sherry met with us last week, but back to the point where we think 56,000, that's a lot of money, but these accounts could go back years, decades. They might be from your first job that have been sitting there growing. You forgot about it. And that's money that should be planned and included in your plan. So yes, Ron and Sherry come to us and we start going through, we start thinking about our history of where we worked. He remembered he was laid off at certain times. And we just, through the conversation, we're always exploring all of the things that are going to come into the retirement plan.
Okay.
And we come up with a list and we do some digging and we find out that he has 3 retirement plans. One of them he had forgot about and it wasn't getting statements. Nobody contacted him about it. It wasn't until we kind of went back and realized that, well, maybe let me make a call, right? You're going to need to be proactive here. He had 3, she had 2, so we've got 5. They've started an IRA that they're contributing to individually. So we've got 6 accounts, right?
Wow.
All of these accounts.
Okay.
So if we don't know we have all of these accounts, how can we include all of them in our chances of success down the road, right?
That's true.
So we consolidate those accounts, we put a plan together, and it looks a little bit better once you have all of the money on the table, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Kevin, let me ask you, why is it so common for people to end up with so many different retirement accounts now?
Yeah, I think it's because we're forgetful.
That's true. I'm all about that.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there's those born between 1957 and 1964 have an average of 12 jobs before they reach age 54.
I believe it.
Now, that's a lot of jobs.
Absolutely.
And so that's a lot of 401ks to keep remembering and rolling over. But some employers don't allow rollovers into their new 401k. So that just sort of has to be there. And if you're under 59 and a half, you can't take money out of that. So you have to roll
Without penalty.
Without penalty. And you have to roll that into something else. and they just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with it. So they just said, well, it's here. I know it's here. But then they don't get statements. Maybe they move, their address changes.
Yes.
There's a lot of factors and a lot of reasons why they're coming in with multiple 401ks or 403bs or qualified accounts, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
12 accounts or 12 jobs before you're 54 is a lot. And maybe
Yes.
that's not you. Maybe you don't have 12 jobs. Maybe it's just 3 or 4. But I'll bet you when you've made that change in jobs, it was a major event in your life. It can be an emotional time. You know,
Of course.
You might have been laid off. You might have actually just decided to go in a different direction and reinvented yourself. Maybe you went back to school and changed. There's a lot of things going on when you change a job. And sometimes it's just better to just say, you know what, I'm just going to set this aside for later and I'll deal with it later.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Well, to our folks at home, if you are wondering if you're alone in this process, perhaps having forgotten 401ks, you are not. A 2020 study by Fidelity revealed that approximately 30% of people who left the job had forgotten about or lost track of their 401k accounts. So you're not alone. This is very common when you think about it. They highlight how common this truly is, but I have to ask a very important question, Joe. When people are transitioning to a new role, what options are presented to them, I should say, when someone transitions regarding that existing 401k?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, they'll probably get a stack of paperwork with a lot of the other things that are happening during this transition.
Okay.
And a lot of times that gets set aside. But let's just talk about the options that you have. So the account could be maybe, as Kevin said, rolled over to your new employer, included in that and consolidated. It could be rolled over into an individual retirement account, an IRA. Okay, you could perhaps cash it out, and that's an option. We'll talk about the consequences of that later.
Okay.
And then the third, you can just leave it right where it is. And there's consequences to all of these choices. We have some recommendations, but those are your 4 options with that retirement account.
Okay, Joe, what are some of the risks of having these multiple old retirement accounts just scattered around? What kind of risks can people run into?
Yeah, certainly. Well, as we change, as we grow, as our risk tolerance changes, our goals that we might not have been thinking about in our 20s or 30s or 40s, and all of a sudden we're thinking about our retirement goals. Well, those older accounts probably aren't in line with your retirement goals at 45, 50, 55. Those are probably allocated quite differently. It's really difficult to have accounts scattered across the board and really have them cohesive in the strategies that you want to be successful. So in order to consolidate them, we need to do a little bit of legwork, but that is one of the major drawbacks.
Okay. All right, Joe. Thank you so much. Kevin, what is the solution to all of these lost 401ks out there?
Is to remember that we have them is the solution, but also we need to consolidate. Make some inquiries, ask some questions of your previous employer, of your current employer, of what can we do with this? I have this. I mean, if you are starting a new job, tell them I have an old 401k. What can I roll it into here? Most people aren't aware of this. They say, well, I have a 401k and an IRA. And sometimes they think those are 2 different things. And they are to a degree.
Okay.
The only difference is a 401k is an employer contributed account. So your employer can put money into it, and so can you.
Okay.
An IRA is an individual retirement account. Only you can put money into that.
Okay.
So a lot of times, certain plans, if you have an old 401k, it automatically just gets rolled into an IRA. They drop the 401k aspect of it, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they still call it a 401k. But ask your employer, and then also try to consolidate those accounts. We shouldn't have more than 1 or 2 IRAs or 401ks at a time, I would think.
Right.
Is just to keep track of that so you don't lose those and end up being one of those 29.2 million accounts that are out there that are like 25% of all the accounts out there in the market.
Absolutely. And Joe, if people have questions, should they be calling in today about consolidating their accounts?
Absolutely. If you think this is you or you know this is you, you should be giving us a call. Call the number on the screen. Get your cell phone out and scan that QR code. It's going to take you right to a place where you can reach us and sit down and talk through this. Our holistic approach is going to review this plus much more, but we're going to talk through that employment history, where those accounts might be, because we want to gather all of that data and have it working for you.
Joe, thank you so much. Kevin, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen. 888-959-2743. If you're in the viewing audience today and you're asking yourself, oh my gosh, do I have other 401ks out there that I may have forgotten about? And do I need to incorporate those into a customized retirement plan? If the answer is yes, please pick up the phone, 888-959-2743, or click on the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That takes you right to the landing page for First Choice Financial Services Incorporated. You can schedule your time accordingly. Now, remember, if you're one of those people that have a lost 401k, but you just remembered that you have it, we're going to talk about what are the benefits if you consolidate it into one. We're going to tackle that when we get right back after this commercial break. Thank you.
When we tell someone something, they'll say, we can take that to the bank. If we can't do something, we'll tell them that. We're straight up with our clients. It all comes down to using the products for the people's needs, not selling product.
Being independent means that we have freedom to do what's best for our clients. We're not beholden to any other party to make sure that we're meeting a quota or restricted on what it is that we can do or provide. We're free to go out into the market and find what's best for them and what's going to meet their needs.
The world's our oyster, as far as what resources we have for our clients, and that's beneficial for our clients more than anything.
Don't be afraid to go ask for help. Find somebody you can trust and start the process. Obviously, the financial part is very important. Having a plan in place that's going to provide you with sustainable income, that's resilient to the changes of life and of the market, that's really important.
Money doesn't care who it serves. And one of the things that we like to do in our company is we like to be able to help people determine where their money is going to be and who it's going to serve generation after generation.
Welcome back to Midstate Money Talk. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Kevin Dietrich and Joe Dietrich of First Choice Financial Services Incorporated. We're talking all about the lost and forgotten 401ks that are out there and the amazing balances that some of those actually hold. If you find out that this is you today, today's show is all about you. Joe and Kevin, I want to ask you a very important, Kevin, I'm going to guide it to you if you will. To consolidate all of your accounts into one IRA.
Yeah.
Why do you recommend that?
Well, I don't know about one IRA, but maybe one or two IRAs, just depending on your risk tolerance.
Okay.
But it's just a simplified management of those IRAs is very important. Easier to track your investments, rebalance if needed.
Okay.
But also potential lower fees. Let's say you have two 401ks and the fee might be 1.5%. The other 401k, the fee might be 2%. So to have them into one to try to get that lower rate is very important as well. As I mentioned before, when you have an old 401k, a lot of times what happens is if you have it there dormant, not contributing to it for a while, it just will turn into, or the company will take it and just turn into an IRA. Well, if you're under a 401k, typically the employer pays the fees.
Okay.
Okay. But if you're in an IRA, you are paying the fees. And so that's something to look at as well.
Okay.
Just to ensure also that you're getting the correct information when the RMD time comes. It's also very important by maintaining and simplifying that management as well. And bottom line is to simplify your finances and reduce the fees in that.
Excellent. So lower fees would definitely be a great thing for most folks out there. Absolutely. So, Joe, I want to ask you a question. Obviously, does consolidating your accounts, does that actually help with the growth and performance of your money overall?
Yeah, absolutely. So things left to their own devices don't usually go better. They usually go worse. So, being able to update or rebalance it out of funds that maybe are underperforming. Market conditions have changed, but you're sitting there for 10, 20 years in a fund that maybe is underperforming. We want to be able to rebalance that or reinvest that into the proper funds that are going to be able to maximize your return. The 401ks, they're going to have a limited menu of what you can invest in. So that's one of the other drawbacks you want to think about is that if we're rolling that over into an IRA, you're going to have much wider investment choices. If you roll that into your current 401k, if you're allowed, you might have, maybe that's the lowest fee schedule that you might be able to take advantage of. So there's different options, different benefits. But like Kevin said, if you have a dormant 401k that you've left, most likely those fees are going to be the highest of your choices. So you need to consider multiple different approaches there and pick what best suits you.
Okay, and talking about what best suits you, I want to ask you obviously about some tax implications if you're consolidating. Should people be worried about rolling over and consolidating their accounts because of the potential tax burden?
Sure, yeah. So Kevin says somebody say, well, I have a 401k, I have an IRA, and it feels very different. You know, they get their different titles, so they feel they're very different, but they have the same tax qualification, the same tax schedule. So if you roll this over properly is the key term, from your 401k to your IRA, there's no tax consequences. We're going from custodian to custodian, from a qualified account to a qualified account. At no time did they take the money or distribute the money to themselves. So there's no taxable event there.
Okay.
Yep.
And I want to step back a little bit into our first segment. You talked about helping the couple that had all of the different accounts.
Yeah.
What was the solution for them? I know the viewers at home are probably wondering what happened to that couple.
Yeah, certainly. So the solution for them was part of their overall plan, and that is that we wanted to set up in the future for some lifetime income to be able to turn on at the proper time. So their accounts were all consolidated into some market investments that were specifically chosen for them and with as efficient as the fees and expenses as was appropriate. But also we've carved out some funds there into some annuities, which we're now setting up for that lifetime income in the future. So their accounts didn't necessarily simplify into one account, but maybe a couple, but with very specific purposes.
Okay.
That's why I mentioned that it might not just be one account, it might be multiple IRAs.
Yes.
Okay, for different purposes.
Yep.
One might be for income, one might be for market growth, one might just be for secured growth in annuity.
So Kevin, what it comes down to is even when people are thinking about consolidating their accounts, if you will, and they're remembering all these different 401ks, this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. You actually customize a plan to help each client that comes in, correct?
Oh, absolutely, we do. And we take pride in that. We get your information because each individual is different. Each account's different. They have, some have, what's that?
Goals and objectives are unique.
Yep. So the dreams are different. Obviously, we talked about dreams as well. So we customize a plan just for this individual based on their needs, their wants, their desires, and all of their assets that they have, their income that they need, their debts, all that stuff plays into that factor.
But I can tell you, having multiple accounts can be a little daunting,
Yes.
So it's helpful to have somebody that has some experience in, contacting the custodians,
Yes.
contacting the plan administrators, being able to obtain those statements, understand what they're saying, and process those rollovers, those consolidations. It can be a little bit of paperwork.
And I know people really appreciate having you there to assist with that because it can be very confusing. A lot of times people don't even know how to pick up the phone or who to call, who to even ask for.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that helps tremendously.
Yes, it does.
Thank you, gentlemen. To our viewers at home, there's a number to call on your screen. That number is 888-959-2743. As you can see, when it comes to having your retirement plan completely customized, there are so many different factors that take place into that overall plan, including if you're someone that has multiple 401ks that have been forgotten or lost. You have to figure out how to bring those over, how to consolidate so that you can have the retirement of your dreams. How do you do that? Well, you're being offered the complimentary consultation today. Just call in to 888-959-2743, or you can grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That'll take you right to the landing page for First Choice Financial Services Incorporated. You can schedule your complimentary, no obligation consultation at that time. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk more in depth about what happens when you want to consolidate some lost accounts.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back to Mid-State Money Talk. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Kevin Dietrich and Joe Dietrich of First Choice Financial Services Incorporated. We're talking all about those lost, forgotten 401ks out there and what you can do if you've discovered that perhaps you have a few of those that you had forgotten about. Kevin, I want to ask you a question. What are the steps that someone should be taking to consolidate their accounts? It seems like it might be overwhelming and confusing. Can you shed some light?
Sure, it can be overwhelming and confusing. So I try to simplify things. So I came up with a list. I like lists.
I like lists too.
So the first thing is to list. List the 401ks, list the accounts, IRAs, whatever you have. Secondly is to contact. Contact your plan administrators, contact your employers, and try to do some investigating. Like what you have, what your details are, what the fees may be, that sort of thing. Third is to decide. Decide whether I'm going to roll it into an IRA, roll it into my 401k, my current 401k. What do I do with that money? You need to decide. And then lastly is to execute.
Okay.
A direct rollover or to avoid tax penalties.
Okay.
Reminds me of a lady that I've been working with, and we've both been working with. She works for a dental office, and the dental office, the dentist is selling his practice.
Okay.
And so she's not leaving her employer. The employer's basically leaving her, if that makes sense. They're selling it. And so they're bringing in a new group in, a new plan administrator. All that is coming in. So a new 401k is coming into play. So she's not leaving. She can roll into this new one, but actually they freeze her account for a period of time.
Oh.
She can't do anything. She can't roll it into anything after a certain date.
Yeah, they're terminating her old account. Yeah. So imagine what if that was if you moved or if you didn't know you had that account. Like there's a lot of things that behoove you to be able to make these contacts as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So she was just a little overwhelmed, and so but we needed to contact the plan administration to see what's her objectives there. What can she do? What can she do? And we were able to put a plan together for her, and so she has a certain date we're going to get that money out and get into another IRA. We're rolling it into an IRA with us and not leaving in her new employer. But that's just what she decided to do based on her situation.
Yeah, and part of that analysis is part of that homework is not only locating, but also understanding where your current 401k or retirement plan does. What are the fees? What are the options? What are the investment choices? And rolling it into that new plan, is that the best option for you? Or to roll it out into your personal IRA, is that the best option for you? So all of this analysis, there's multiple points where we want to be doing some analysis.
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you.
The other thing is that, we mentioned this before, that people that work with an advisor are twice as likely to be on track with their savings for retirement. Well, that certainly helps if you know all of the savings that you have for retirement, right?
Absolutely.
All part and parcel to having it all on the table and understanding where all the pieces fit.
Yes, yes. So we're saying open up those junk drawers. Let's go through.
That's right. That's right.
So Kevin, I want to ask you a question. What common mistakes should people avoid when consolidating accounts? What are some mistakes that you've seen before people are coming into the office?
I think the most common mistake is just taking the cash out, withdrawing the money. And they don't know the consequences to that from a tax perspective, from also a penalty perspective. Or taking another common problem is that they take loans from the 401k, and then they would try to move it or try to roll it into another IRA or to another 401k, and they have to pay the loan back. So there are rules and regulations in the plan documents. Each employer's plan is different.
Yes.
They set it up from the beginning, and so there's I'm working with a gentleman right now that has a pension, a deferred compensation plan, and then they define benefit plan. The defined benefit plan is a pension plan.
Okay.
But he can roll money out of it early.
Okay.
We thought.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So actually he couldn't roll money out of it. Actually, I got that backwards. Pardon me. He could roll money out of his pension plan, which we never thought he could do. Yeah. But he couldn't roll money out of his 457 plan, which we obviously thought he could do. But from the plan documents, from the administrator standpoint, they made the rules that they can't pull money out as they're still working out of their 457 plan, but they could out of their pension plan, which goes opposite of what we're used to seeing.
Wow.
So we just don't know what we don't know as advisors unless we contact the plan administration and see what the rules are that the employer set up from the beginning.
Wow. Okay. Very,
Now,
very
can
good point.
you imagine the client or the employee trying to navigate all of that on their
No.
own? They get frustrated. He's very frustrated, the gentleman I'm working with. And I just have to calm him down and say, this is just the way it is. We have to
Part of the
work within the rules.
Part of the process.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's
Yes.
the importance of sitting down and meeting with an advisor that is specializes in retirement planning. So us or somebody like us, if you're out there, give us a call. The number on the screen, the QR code. Take your phone out and snap that, and we would love to talk with you. But you can see how overwhelming this could be. Let us come beside you and work with you on these things.
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you. And Kevin, what about the importance of making sure that your beneficiary designations are
extremely
up to
important.
date and
Extremely
ready to?
important.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that for a moment.
We see accounts all the time that there's no beneficiary listed at all.
Yes.
So if something would happen to that employee for that company, the money's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's not going where they want it to.
I think that's where the 29.2 million.
Absolutely.
I mean, that plays a huge factor because there's someone might die,
Yes.
like that, and nothing's set up properly. So it's so important to be proactive in your retirement and your planning with your 401ks, your IRAs, your assets, and then getting the right help is so important.
Absolutely.
We see people who think they have the beneficiaries designated on those accounts, and they actually are not. They're blank.
Wow.
But they also would see, especially if you've forgotten the account, you might have moved, your life might have changed. Maybe you got divorced. Maybe you got additional kids that have come along. Those maybe aren't up to date either. So
Yeah.
It's hard to be able to have those accounts active and current with your current needs if you don't know that you have them.
All of this information is so incredibly crucial and important for a successful retirement. Kevin, thank you so much. Joe, thank you so much.
Good to be here.
To our viewers at home, most specifically, we'd like to thank you for spending time with us today on Mid-State Money Talk. If you have questions about how to have a beautiful customized retirement plan drawn up for you, please call the number 888-959-2743. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today. Take care now.